Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a world where the internet was born, not really from sleek Silicon Valleys, but from Cold War paranoia and a half-typed word.
Right.
The very first message sent over ARPANET was supposed to be log in, right? But it only got as far as low before the whole system crashed.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a messy start.
It really is. So today, we're taking a deep dive into something you interact with constantly, maybe without even thinking about its wild origins and, frankly, its profound impact, the internet.
And what's truly fascinating here, looking at the sources you've gathered, is how deeply interwoven the story of the digital web is.
Yeah.
You've got geopolitics, human psychology, even these unexpected countercultural movements all playing a part. It paints this really comprehensive picture of how the internet didn't just connect us, it fundamentally rewired humanity in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So our mission for you today is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, explore some surprising facts, and really get you well informed about the internet's history, its psychological side effects, and where it's heading. We'll trace its journey, from those war rooms to our living rooms, uncover some myths, and explore its power to connect us, but also to divide us, and ultimately transform us. And this is where it gets incredibly insightful. So let's jump right into those war rooms you mentioned, because the sources really stressed that this wasn't some, visionary kid in a garage.
No.
This seed was planted directly because of Sputnik launching in '57. That really canicked the U.S. government into creating ARPA, the Advanced Research Projects Agency, in '58.
Right.
What was their main goal, and how did that lead to something like ARPANET?
Well, their goal was absolutely about maintaining technological superiority over the Soviets. ARPA was basically tasked with funding high-risk, high-reward research.
Okay.
So by '69, yes, you get that slightly embarrassing low message over ARPANET. But the key thing is, its initial purpose wasn't mass communication at all. It was just about sharing expensive computing resources between a few universities.
To resource sharing.
Pretty much. Their real foundational leap for a truly global network that came later, around 1973. That's when Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn introduced TCP/IP.
Ah, the famous protocol.
Exactly. That became the bedrock, the language that allowed all these different separate networks to finally talk to each other. That's what made the internet possible, not just ARPANET.
Got it. And then, years later, the World Wide Web enters the scene. This is where I think a lot of people get confused about who did what. Tim Berners-Lee, British computer scientist at CERN, he introduces the web in 1989. How did his innovation change things?
That's such a crucial distinction, yeah. It's a common myth he invented the internet itself. He didn't.
Right.
What he created was the user-friendly layer on top of it. Things like hypertext, URLs, web addresses, and HTTP, the protocol for fetching web pages.
So the clickable stuff.
Basically, yes. It made navigating this complex network intuitive. Suddenly anyone could click through information. That's what opened it up to the masses. And another myth worth busting, while we're at it, the idea it was built specifically to survive nuclear war. While redundancy was definitely a design consideration, the core driver was academic collaboration, that resource sharing we talked about.
Okay.
And here's a point your sources really highlight, a less comfortable truth perhaps. The internet was never truly neutral from day one. Strategic goals, economic interests, even surveillance potential. Those were baked in from the beginning. It kind of laid the groundwork for issues we grapple with now.
That's a really powerful point. It wasn't this pure open space initially. And speaking of lesser-known truths, the sources also bring up the role of women, often overlooked in those early days. People like Elizabeth Feinler, who was apparently a radar and cryptography expert, she was key in organizing the domain name system. The .coms, .orgs we use every day.
Absolutely essential work.
And there was even this early countercultural side, right? Hacktivists, digital libertarians back in the 80s, already shaping ideas about online ethics and privacy.
Yeah, it shows this convergence of different threads, military, academic, countercultural, all feeding into it.
It really does. And we can't forget Douglas Engelbart's mother of all demos, way back in 1968, introducing the mouse, hypertext, networking, years before they hit the mainstream. Incredible foresight there.
It's amazing, and what's impelling looking through the research is how quickly this technological evolution started reshaping, us, our behavior, our minds.
How so?
Well, from quite early on, the internet fundamentally restructured our psychology and society. Think about how platforms are designed now, those dopamine feedback loops.
Ah, yes, the endless scroll.
Exactly. They literally mimic addiction patterns seen in things like gambling. The crucial insight here is that casual clicks, the scrolling, it isn't accidental. It's engineered, meticulously designed to be habit-forming. It subtly rewires our brains for constant engagement.
So endlessly scrolling Instagram or TikTok. It's not just me lacking willpower. It's a response to a deliberately engineered environment.
Precisely. It feels like a subtle pull, doesn't it? Not always like an obvious addiction.
Yeah, really does. What are some of the other big psychological shifts the sources point to?
Well, Sherry Turkle at MIT, she wrote about this quite powerfully, especially in her book Alone Together. This paradox where constant digital connection can actually lead to more emotional isolation.
Connected but lonely.
In a way, yeah. Connected, but often superficially. And this idea of our digital habits shaping us, it goes beyond just personal feelings. It influences how we learn and how we act in online groups. Bandura's social learning theory comes into play here.
How does that fit in?
It helps explain how online spaces foster imitation. Think about influencers, viral trends, especially among younger people. We see it, we copy it.
So we're not just consuming trends, we're actively mimicking them and potentially feeling more alone even while we're supposedly connecting. It's like, Irving Goffman's idea of dramaturgy.
The front stage, backstage self.
Exactly. It feels like the internet has created this permanent front stage. We're always performing, always aware of an audience, even just sharing a trivial photo. There's hardly any backstage left. That constant performance must be exhausting.
That's a really insightful way to put it. And it feeds into what the sociologist Zygmunt Bauman termed liquid modernity. Online social ties become very fluid, temporary, maybe even fragile. It reflects this broader postmodern uncertainty. And one result of that is something we could call digital tribalism. Communities forming around ideologies or memes or shared niche interests, often completely separate from geography or traditional background.
Absolutely. This liquid modernity, digital tribalism, it just underscores how profoundly the internet has redefined our whole social fabric. It's not just a tool anymore.
No, it's the environment.
It's the stage, really, where so much human interaction happens now. It's shifted power, shaped global culture in ways we're still trying to figure out. Politics, economics, dating, education, even warfare.
Yeah.
It's all happening in cyberspace now.
Yeah.
We saw that vividly during the Arab Spring back in the 2010s. Online platforms became these crucial political battlegrounds, letting citizens organize and bypass state censorship.
Yes, and that points to a fundamental shift in power dynamics. Traditional media gatekeepers, newspapers, TV networks, their influence is waning, replaced by citizen journalism, social media, and now increasingly AI-generated content. Culturally, just look at the global language of Gen Z. It's steeped in internet slang, meme culture, TikTok dances. That happened incredibly fast.
It is astonishingly fast. And beyond the Arab Spring example, think about the Cambridge Analytica scandal in 2018.
Right.
Millions of Facebook users' data harvested specifically to influence voting behavior. It's a pretty stark example of how the internet can be weaponized, turning our personal information into a tool for manipulation.
And this raises a really important question the sources touch on. How do different cultures interact with and shape this global network? It's not monolithic.
Good point.
Look at China, for instance. The internet is heavily controlled by the state, the Great Firewall. But that's fostered this whole parallel digital ecosystem, WeChat, Baidu. It's a unique kind of state-driven digital citizenship.
Right. Very different. Then contrast that with, say, Nordic countries like Finland. They were among the first to declare internet access a legal right.
Yeah.
They tend to embrace open source,
Absolutely.
transparency.
A different philosophy entirely. And then you have mobile-first cultures. Think of parts of South Asia like Pakistan and India. WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube are absolutely essential there for commerce, education, politics, often bypassing traditional infrastructure altogether.
Yeah.
It really shows how the internet both adapts to local contexts and, in turn, shapes those local realities and national priorities.
It does. Which brings us, I think, to a critical analysis. We need to weigh the internet's immense strength against its weaknesses and, let's be honest, its dangers.
Okay, on the strength side, it's undeniably democratized knowledge. Anyone, anywhere can learn almost anything or teach anything.
Sure.
It's created this unprecedented global interconnectedness, making borders feel less relevant online. And it's been a massive accelerant for innovation, fintech, telemedicine, remote work.
Huge benefits. But the flip side is pretty stark too, isn't it? The sources mention the digital divide billions still lack reliable access.
A major issue, yes.
And the weaknesses hit close to home, too. Mental health, particularly for young people. That link between heavy social media use and anxiety, depression, self-esteem issues seems increasingly clear.
It does.
It really makes you rethink every free app you download.
Yeah.
You know the saying, if you're not paying for the product,
Then you are the product.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the dangers are profound. We're living in an era of what Shoshana Zuboff calls surveillance capitalism.
right?
Our data is the currency. Privacy often feels like an afterthought, maybe even unattainable. Then there's the rapid spread of misinformation, fake news. It often travels faster than truth, polarizing society.
It really does.
And let's not forget cyber warfare. The internet is now a front line for geopolitical conflict, blurring the lines between state actors and others.
It makes you think about what thinkers like Jaron Lanier call digital serfdom. These tech giants profiting by capturing and selling our attention. Tim Wu called them the attention merchants. It fundamentally changes how you view every click, every scroll.
Okay.
And then you have Yuval Noah Harari's warnings. Viewing this convergence of AI and the internet as maybe the next phase of data colonialism, where our actual experiences become raw material for algorithms.
It's a sobering thought.
It really is quite the journey from just low crashing a system to that kind of global impact.
Indeed.
So what does this all mean for us, wrapping things up? We've journeyed from that panicked reaction to Sputnik, creating ARPA, all the way to today's incredibly complex digital world. We've looked at everything from engineered dopamine loops to the Great Firewall.
Yeah.
The internet, born from this desire to connect and share resources, it really has become the central nervous system of modern civilization, hasn't it?
It truly has. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's so clear the story isn't over. Far from it. As your sources highlight, like, fire or the printing press before it, it fundamentally redefined what it means to be human. But it's also unfinished. It's constantly evolving, constantly pushing boundaries.
And now with AI really taking off, neural interfaces on the horizon, the metaverse concept. We're standing on the edge of entirely new frontiers of interaction.
We really are.
Which raises a huge question for you, the listener. Is the internet going to liberate us, offer new forms of creativity, connection? Or will it ultimately enslave us to algorithms, to commercial interests?
Will it unify cultures or just fragment truth further into echo chambers?
Exactly. The next chapter, as the sources seem to suggest, it isn't just being written by coders in Silicon Valley or by corporations. It's written by all of us. Every click, every share, every single interaction shapes what comes next.
So maybe take a moment to consider how your own digital choices, your habits, might be shaping this next phase, influencing not just your own life, but the fabric of society itself.
Yeah. A lot to mull over, isn't it? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Okay, so have you ever had that feeling? The internet cuts out and suddenly it's like a phantom limb almost.
Oh, definitely. Or that weird online chat that just completely changes your day, maybe your week.
Exactly. Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the whole story of the internet.
And not just as, a tool we use.
No, more like the central nervous system of how we live now. We've got this stack of sources you shared, articles, notes, research, and we're going to pull out the key stuff for you.
Our mission, basically.
Right. You probably think you know the internet, but we're going on a bit of a journey today. From Cold War strategy rooms right into our living rooms.
And exploring how it really reshaped, everything about us.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How tangled up the origins are with geopolitics, human desires even.
And how it just kept surprising everyone. Creating these amazing connections, but also, some pretty big challenges we're still grappling with.
Definitely. So to get where we are now, we really need to go back, way back.
To the very beginning.
And it wasn't like tech geeks tinkering in a garage. Not initially.
No, it started with a bang, almost literally.
1957. The USSR launches Sputnik.
Right. And that sent this huge shockwave through the U.S. establishment. Panic, really.
Which directly led to ARPA, the Advanced Research Projects Agency, in '58. Their job? Simple. Make sure America stays ahead technologically.
And that fear, that drive, it directly funded the first steps of ARPANET.
Which brings us to 1969, the first message sent. UCLA to Stanford.
The famous LO.
Yeah, it's supposed to be login, right. But it crashed after just 2 letters.
A pretty humble start for a world-changing technology. Kind of funny, actually.
It is. But here's something I found really interesting in the research, something often missed.
Oh, yeah.
A common story. It often skips over the original point of ARPANET. It wasn't really about communication like it did
Yeah.
with the damn email chat, whatever.
What was it then?
Primarily resource sharing, letting these big academic institutions, share processing power on their huge, expensive computers remotely.
Ah, okay. That does put a different spin on it. Less about talking, more about computing power.
Exactly. It challenges that common narrative, doesn't it?
It really does. Shows how tech evolves. You build it for X, but it ends up being used for Y and Z.
Totally. And while this early network stuff was happening, someone else was already way ahead on the user side of things.
You mean Engelbart?
Yeah, Douglas Engelbart, 1968, the mother of all demos.
Incredible stuff. He showed off the mouse.
Hypertext clicking links, basically.
Networking concepts, years before any of it went mainstream. A real visionary.
Definitely ahead of his time. Okay, so we have ARPANET, we have these user interface ideas, but what really glued it all together for the internet?
Right, that's where Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn come in. 1973, they introduced TCP/IP.
Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Sounds technical.
It is, but think of it like
Yeah.
the universal language for computers. Or maybe the digital post office rules.
Okay, so it lets different networks actually talk to each other reliably.
Exactly. Before TCP/IP, you had separate networks, like ARPANET, but they couldn't easily connect. TCP/IP made that possible. It's the absolute foundation.
And the term internet itself, that came later.
Yeah, it started being used formally around 1983 when ARPANET officially switched over to using TCP/IP. That was the moment it really became the internet, connecting various networks.
Gotcha. Which leads us nicely into some myth busting.
Always fun.
Myth number 1. The internet was built purely to survive a nuclear war.
Right, you hear that all the time. And while being decentralized did make it resilient, which was good.
That wasn't the main goal.
No, the main goal, as you said, was academic collaboration, sharing resources, and later communication. The resilience was more like a useful side effect.
Okay. Myth number 2. Tim Berners-Lee invented the internet.
Ah, another classic. Also not quite right.
What did he invent then?
He invented the World Wide Web between 1989 and 1991.
So the websites, the links, the browsers, that stuff.
Exactly. Think of the internet as the roads and plumbing. Tim Berners-Lee built the easy-to-use houses and shops, on top of it, the web. It's a layer on the internet.
That's a really crucial difference. Often gets blurred.
Totally. And another crucial, often blurred fact, the role of women in the early days.
Yes. Like Elizabeth Feinler.
Right. She came from radar and crypto work, I think. And she was key in organizing the domain name system.
The .com, .org, .gov stuff, that structure.
Yeah. Fundamental scaffolding. Truly unsung architects.
And it wasn't all just academics and government contractors, right? There was another vibe, too.
Oh, yeah. Especially into the 80s, you had this real countercultural element emerging. Hacktivists, digital libertarians.
People already thinking about online ethics, privacy, pushing back against control.
Exactly, shaping the norms of this new space.
Which brings up a really important point you touched on earlier, this idea of neutrality. The internet was never really neutral, was it? Even from the start.
Not really, no. Creation was driven by strategic military goals, then academic goals, then economic ones. And surveillance was kind of baked in from early on, too.
So that idea of a purely open, neutral space,
Yeah.
it's more of an ideal than the reality of how it was built.
Precisely. And understanding that non-neutral foundation helps make sense of so many debates we have today about who controls it, privacy, all that stuff.
Okay, so the tech is built, the foundations are laid. But what does this actually do to us as people, as societies? How did it start, rewiring things?
The human equation. That's where it gets really deep, I think.
It's definitely done more than just connect machines. It feels like it's changed it.
Plus, fundamentally,
Yeah.
psychologically, for instance, you can look at something like Bender's social learning theory.
Okay, refresh my memory on that one.
It's basically about how we learn by observing and imitating others. Online, think about influencers, viral trends, memes.
We see it, we copy it, especially younger people.
Exactly. It's social learning supercharged by algorithms and constant exposure. We're imitating, often unconsciously.
And then there's that paradox. Feeling connected all the time, but maybe lonelier.
That's Sherry Turkle's big idea, right? From her book, Alone Together. This constant digital connection doesn't always translate to deep, meaningful emotional connection. Sometimes it does the opposite.
We're connected, but maybe not connecting.
It's a huge question, especially when the platforms themselves are built for something else.
Like keeping us scrolling.
Right. Those dopamine feedback loops. Think Instagram, TikTok. You get a little notification, a little burst of dopamine.
And it keeps you coming back, like a slot machine.
Pretty much, yeah. It mimics addiction patterns. It's designed to capture and hold our attention.
Which has massive effects not just individually, but on society.
Oh, absolutely. Sociologically, think about identity. Irving Goffman talked about life as a performance, the front stage and backstage.
And the internet just created this massive new front stage.
Exactly. Your Instagram feed, your Facebook profile, even your professional LinkedIn page. It's all a curated performance of identity. We're constantly managing our brand.
Crafting that public self.
And our connections themselves have changed. Zygmunt Bauman's idea of liquid modernity.
Liquid modernity.
Yeah, the idea that in modern life things are fluid, temporary, uncertain. Online relationships often reflect that. They can form fast, dissolve fast. They're often more fragile.
Less stable than, say, connections based on living in the same village for generations.
Totally different. It reflects this broader societal shift towards flexibility, maybe instability. Roots can be harder to put down online.
And how we form groups has changed too, hasn't it? Less about where you live.
And more about what you believe or like or even hate. Digital tribalism.
Communities forming around ideologies, memes, shared online experiences, sometimes even shared trauma.
Right. It's a completely different basis for belonging. Powerful, but also potentially fragmenting.
So it's not just a tool we use sometimes. It feels like the ground we walk on now.
That's a great way to put it. The terrain where so much of human interaction happens.
Let's look at some big examples of that. Politics, for one.
Oh, definitely. Online platforms are political battlegrounds now, no question.
You saw it with the Arab Spring back in the 2010s. People using Facebook, Twitter.
To organize protests, share information, get around government censorship, it was revolutionary, literally.
But then you also see the flip side. Disinformation campaigns, like stuff aimed at elections in the US and elsewhere.
Exactly. The internet shapes the narrative. It's where public opinion gets molded, manipulated, fought over.
And what about media? The old guard seems less guarded now.
Completely transformed. Those traditional gatekeepers, big TV networks, newspapers, that power has been massively challenged.
By who? Citizen journalists? Anyone with a phone?
Pretty much. Plus, algorithms deciding what news you see. And now, AI-generated content.
Oh boy. That's a whole other level of trying to figure out what's real.
It really is. It blurs the lines dramatically.
And culturally. It's like there's a global youth culture emerging online.
Totally. Internet slang, meme culture.
Yeah.
Those TikTok dances that go viral everywhere.
It's like a shared language for Gen Z, crossing borders in a way that maybe wasn't possible before.
A digital global identity, almost.
Let's dive into some specific cases. The Arab Spring we mentioned.
Right. 2010 to 2012, roughly. People in Tunisia, Egypt, elsewhere, using platforms we take for granted.
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
As tools for actual revolution. Documenting crackdowns, coordinating meetups, bypassing state media. It showed the power shifting, or at least being challenged.
But then, fast forward a bit, Cambridge Analytica, 2018.
Yeah, the darker side. Harvesting data from millions of Facebook users without real consent.
To build psychological profiles.
Exactly, and then using those profiles to target them with political ads, trying to influence how they voted.
That showed how this whole system could be weaponized. Subtly, invisibly almost.
It was a major wake-up call about data privacy and manipulation.
It's not all revolutions and scandals, though. There are unique cultural things, too.
Like the PC bang culture in South Korea.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, these are basically internet cafes, but they evolved into these really vibrant social hubs.
Not just for browsing, but for gaming.
Especially esports, yeah.
Yeah.
It became a huge part of youth culture, a place for bonding, competition, a real collective digital experience.
That's fascinating. A physical space built around online activity.
It shows how the internet isn't just this abstract thing, it shapes physical spaces and social habits, too.
Okay, so we've seen the history, the rewiring, the modern terrain. Let's pull back for the bigger picture. What are the major critiques? The big ideas?
Right. There are some really sharp thinkers who've tackled this. Marshall McLuhan, for instance.
Even before the internet as we know it, right?
Exactly. A sort of pre-internet prophet. He talked about media as extensions of man, meaning our tools extend our capabilities. The internet, in his view, would be like an extension of our nervous system, our memory, our thoughts out into the world, externalizing our minds.
Wow. That feels very accurate now. Then there are more critical voices today, like Jaron Lanier.
Yes, Lanier is very critical of how platforms treat users. He talks about digital serfdom.
Serfdom, like medieval peasants.
Kind of. His argument is that we provide all this valuable data, our clicks, our likes, our posts, for free.
And the tech giants package it up and sell it, making billions.
Exactly. We're the unpaid labor force generating the value. It's a provocative idea.
And unsettling. It ties into Tim Wu's idea too, right? The attention merchants.
Wu argues the core business model is capturing our attention and then reselling it to advertisers or others. Our focus is the commodity.
So we're not the customers, we're the product being sold.
In many ways, yes. That's the argument.
And looking even further ahead, Yuval Noah Harari has warnings too.
About AI merging with the internet. He calls it the potential next phase of data colonialism.
Suggesting even more control, more sophisticated ways of influencing us through data.
Yeah, potentially leading to even less individual autonomy as AI understands and predicts us better and better. These are big, big warnings.
They really are. But let's balance this. The internet clearly has massive strengths too.
Oh, absolutely. The democratization of knowledge is huge. Anyone with a connection can potentially learn almost anything. Or teach anything.
An incredible library at your fingertips.
Unparalleled. And a global connection. Being able to talk to someone across the planet instantly. It shrinks the world.
True. And it's fueled so much innovation, hasn't it? Fintech, telemedicine, remote work. Whole industries built on it.
Definitely an innovation accelerant. But the weaknesses are just as real.
Like the digital divide.
Yeah.
Still billions without reliable access.
Huge equity issue. Access to information, jobs, education, it's not evenly distributed at all.
And we touched on mental health.
Yeah.
The anxiety, depression links, especially for young people.
Yes, that's a major growing concern. The impact of constant comparison, curated lives, algorithmic pressure. It's taking a toll.
And the dangers seem amplified online.
For sure. Surveillance capitalism, our data being the currency, privacy feeling like an opt-in luxury.
Misinformation spreading like wildfire. Fake news travels faster than truth online, often.
Which erodes trust, polarizes society. It's a serious problem.
And cyber warfare.
Right.
Actual conflicts being fought digitally between nations or groups.
The internet is a battlefield now. Plain and simple. High stakes, often invisible.
It's also striking how different the internet feels in different places.
Absolutely. It's not monolithic. Look at China.
The Great Firewall.
Right. Heavily filtered, controlled. They have their own parallel apps. WeChat, Baidu integrated with state monitoring and a social credit system. Very different experience.
Compare that to, say, the Nordic countries.
Much more emphasis on open source transparency. Finland even declared internet access a legal right.
Wow, like a basic utility.
Recognizing its fundamental importance.
And then places like Pakistan or India.
Often mobile-first cultures. WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube aren't just apps. They're essential tools for business, education, politics, a lifeline for millions.
So the same technology manifests very differently depending on the cultural, political, economic context.
Exactly. It adapts and gets adapted.
So wrapping this all up, where does it leave us? It's so much more than just tech.
It really is. Fundamentally, it's a human story, isn't it? About our deep desires to connect, to know, to control, to communicate.
Born from Cold War fear and academic curiosity.
It's somehow morphed into the central nervous system for, well, a huge chunk of global civilization.
Like other transformative inventions.
Yeah.
Fire, the printing press. It's changed what it means to be human. But you mentioned earlier, it feels unfinished.
Deeply unfinished. We're seeing the next waves hitting now. AI becoming more integrated.
Neural interfaces, brain-computer connections.
The whole idea of the metaverse, whatever that will actually become, we are absolutely on the edge of the next internet, the next layer of connection.
And that next chapter, it's not just up to the tech companies or governments, is it?
No. It's being written by all of us through how we use it, what we demand from it, what we tolerate.
So the big questions remain. Will it ultimately liberate us or lock us into algorithms?
Will it bring cultures together or splinter us into ever smaller tribes?
The future isn't set. So for everyone listening, what role will you play in shaping what comes next?